Sometimes we can find inspiration in the smallest things, but it means we need to be looking for them. And what we find depends on why we're looking. Maybe we need motivation to keep moving forward, or something hopeful to buoy our spirit, or maybe something that just touches our heart. Often that inspiration can come from hearing a story that allows us to temporarily leave our own reality and live, even if just for a moment, in someone else's. That's the power of stories.
There are certain values and practices that withstand the test of time. As Goethe wrote, "He who cannot draw on 3,000 years is living hand to mouth." Timeless leadership connects the stories and experiences of modern leaders with lessons of the past that we know to be beautiful, useful, or true. Through the swirling maelstrom of change and uncertainty that perpetually threaten progress, our North Stars are character, culture, communication, and other timeless principles. This is where leaders learn. This is timeless leadership.
Hi, I'm Scott Monty. Welcome back to Timeless Leadership. I'm here to discuss with you the things about leadership that are beautiful, useful, or true. And in this episode, it's going to take the form of a story, and it may be all three. If you don't already, please subscribe to the show on the podcast platform of your choice, or everywhere you get podcasts. And if you leave me a rating or review, well, I'll be forever in your debt. You can find out more about me and my services at scottmonty.com. I regularly speak to groups of people, leaders, their teams, boards of directors, company and industry gatherings, and I talk to them about creating a cohesive culture and operating in a crisis, better communication, and of course, the power of storytelling. If you're interested in learning more about how we might craft a dynamite program together for your group, check out the link in my show notes that go to my speaking page on scottmonty.com. In the previous episode, we met Neil Ford, and we had a chance to be graced with his intelligence, his warmth, and his true ability to convey information in the form of captivating stories. And in that episode, I asked him where he found the inspiration for his stories. And in doing so, I realized that stories themselves provide us inspiration that we can give to other people. So I thought I'd share with you one of my favorite stories. And if you've had children, I think you'll recognize the pure love and devotion conveyed here. On John's desk at work, there was always a doll. A child's doll, carefully, lovingly propped up and in its own special corner, watching over the day's business. The doll never stayed in the office overnight. John brought her each morning, placed her in that special corner of his desk where she could see everything that went on, and then he took her home each evening. No one at work ever asked John about that doll. No one had to. Everyone who knew John knew the story I'm about to tell you. It was a snowy December day shortly before Christmas, 1914, when 8-year-old Marcella Gruelle decided to visit her daddy. Daddy, John Gruelle, was a political cartoonist for the Indianapolis Star. Little Marcella trudged all the way there through the swirling white snow from their home, many blocks away. But she was not alone. She brought with her a doll. Daddy kissed the snowflakes from Marcella's long lashes and gave her a big bear hug. It was wonderful that she had come to see him, he said. but Daddy was busy working on something called a deadline. He'd have to wait to get all of his work done. It had to be pretty soon, or the man who hired Daddy would be very upset. Marcella understood, but there was just one thing. The little girl had been playing in the attic. She found this doll, and the doll was sad. She told her daddy because it had no face. Wasn't there any way Daddy could make the doll happy again? So John lifted the doll from his daughter's arms, smiling. Indeed, it had no eyes, no nose, no mouth, no face at all. But John recognized this tattered doll as having belonged to his mother once upon a distant time. John's gaze returned to little Marcella, and again he smiled. Very well, the doll would be given a face. Hastily, with his pen, the cartoonist sketched on basic features, making them happy, of course. And Marcella, happy also, returned home. Mommy mended and restuffed the dolly and even sewed a little red heart on its chest with the words, "I love you," written inside. When one day Marcella became ill and had to stay in bed, the little dolly stayed with her, constantly comforting. Daddy even made up marvelous adventure stories about the doll to amuse Marcella and encourage her to get well. But the little girl seemed to grow increasingly frail, spending more and more time in bed. A chronic illness, the doctor said, from which Marcella would never recover. She died one day in 1916 with the floppy cloth dolly clutched in her arms. You understand now about the doll on John's desk and why he brought it to work with him each morning and took it home with him each night. That was Marcella's doll. The political cartoons of John Gruelle are mostly forgotten, but the world will always remember his daughter's doll. Because not long after Marcella's death, John began writing down the stories he had once told his little girl while she was sick, and those dozens of illustrated stories he shared with the rest of us, in memory of the dolly's mistress and in memory of the long-ago Christmas time when a daddy and his little girl gave a tattered cloth doll a face and a name. Raggedy Ann. This story always gets me, not only because I have a little girl of my own, but because of that wow finish, how it brings the entire story into focus in that one moment. When we hear the name of the doll, a doll so recognizable that everyone knows what it is. And that unites us, even if just for a moment. And isn't that what all good stories do? They help us find something that's universally beautiful or useful or true. They give us a cultural touch point to share with each other. True leaders know that by telling stories, they define the culture and bring their people together, united to care about something that they have in common. And don't we need more moments where we have a common bond? Please take a moment to rate and review the show on Apple Podcasts and share it around. In doing so, you can help the next generation of leaders on their journey. I really appreciate you taking the time to do this. Our theme music, Timeless Harmony, used with permission, was written by Matthias Leon and performed by the City of Prague Philharmonic Orchestra. I'm Scott Monty. There's so much to learn,